Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. If you are new here, welcome. You have arrived at exactly the right place. Today, we are diving into one of the greatest mysteries our world has ever known. A place so ancient, so breathtaking, and so impossibly impressive that even after thousands of years of study, scientists and historians are still scratching their heads trying to fully understand it. Today, we're talking about the Pyramids of Giza. Yes, those legendary, towering giants rising out of the Egyptian desert that have captured the imagination of explorers, kings, archaeologists, and dreamers for over 4,500 years. These are not just old buildings. These are structures that have outlasted entire civilizations. Structures that were already ancient when the Roman Empire was born. Structures that still hold secrets we have not yet uncovered. And today we're going to go deep. We're going to explore how they were built, why they were built, what mysteries still surround them, and why, after all this time, the Pyramids of Giza still make every single person who sees them stop and ask the same question. How on earth was this possible? So if you are ready to travel back 4,500 years and uncover one of humanity's greatest achievements, make sure you are comfortable, because this is going to be one incredible journey. Let's get into it. Imagine standing at the edge of a golden desert, looking up at a structure so massive it seems to defy the very laws of nature. Built over 4,500 years ago, the Pyramids of Giza have outlasted empires, civilizations, and the march of time itself. They are not just monuments. They are a message from humanity's past, written in stone. The story of the pyramids begins around 2560 BCE, that is more than 4,500 years ago, during a period in ancient Egypt known as the Old Kingdom. This was a golden age of Egyptian civilization. The pharaohs were powerful, the economy was strong, and Egypt was a land of ambition and belief. It was during this time that a pharaoh named Khufu, also known by his Greek name Cheops, decided to build something that had never been built before. A tomb so massive, so perfect, and so permanent that it would carry him safely into the afterlife and remind the world of his greatness forever. What followed was one of the most extraordinary construction projects in all of human history. An estimated 20,000 workers, not slaves as was once believed, but skilled laborers who were fed, housed, and cared for, worked for over 20 years to bring Khufu's vision to life. They quarried, transported, and placed approximately 2.3 million stone blocks, each one weighing between 2.5 and 15 tons. After Khufu came his son Khafre, who built the second pyramid, slightly smaller but sitting on higher ground, making it appear just as tall. Then came Menkaure, who built the third and smallest of the three. Together, these three pyramids form one of the most iconic and recognizable silhouettes in the history of the world. For nearly 4,000 years, the Great Pyramid of Khufu stood as the tallest man-made structure on Earth at 146 meters. Think about that for a moment. No building surpassed it for 4,000 years. Now let us talk about the part that truly blows people's minds, the architecture. When you look at the Great Pyramid, you are looking at a structure made of 2.3 million stone blocks. The base covers an area of 53,000 square meters, large enough to fit several football stadiums inside. And yet, despite its enormous size, the base of the pyramid is level to within just 2.1 centimeters. 2.1 centimeters. Across 53,000 square meters. The four sides of the pyramid are aligned almost perfectly with the four cardinal directions, north, south, east, and west, with an accuracy so precise that modern architects using laser equipment struggle to match it. How did the ancient Egyptians do this without GPS, without computers, without any of the tools we rely on today? That question still does not have a fully satisfying answer. The stones themselves were quarried primarily from Tura, a site across the Nile, and from Aswan, hundreds of kilometers away. They were transported using a combination of wooden sledges, waterways, and canals, then hauled up ramps to their final position. Each block had to fit perfectly with the ones around it, with gaps so small you cannot slide a piece of paper between them. Inside the pyramid, things get even more fascinating. A network of narrow passages leads to a series of chambers deep within the structure. The most famous is the King's Chamber, a room lined entirely with polished red granite, containing a large stone sarcophagus. Above it, engineers build a series of relieving chambers designed to distribute the enormous weight of the pyramid and prevent the ceiling from collapsing. It is a solution so clever that it has kept the chamber intact for 4,500 years. To truly understand the pyramids, you have to understand how ancient Egyptians saw the world. For them, death was not an ending. It was a transition, a doorway into an eternal life that was even more real and more important than the one lived on earth. The pharaoh was not just a king. He was a god in human form, a bridge between the world of the living and the world of the divine. And when he died, his journey to the afterlife had to be protected, prepared for, and made permanent. That is where the pyramid comes in. The pyramid's shape was deeply symbolic. It represented the rays of the sun bursting through the clouds and touching the earth, a stairway connecting the human world to the heavens above. By building his tomb in this shape, the pharaoh was declaring his intention to rise with the sun and join the gods in eternity. Inside the pyramid, the pharaoh's mummified body was placed alongside everything he would need in the next life: food, clothing, furniture, jewelry, gold, and even miniature servants carved from stone. Elaborate rituals were performed. Priests recited prayers. The entire process could take months. Standing beside the pyramids is another icon of ancient Egypt, the Great Sphinx. This colossal statue, carved directly from the limestone bedrock, has the body of a lion and the face believed to be that of Pharaoh Khafre. It faces east toward the rising sun and has stood as the silent guardian of the Giza Plateau for over 4,500 years. These structures did not just serve the pharaoh. They shaped the entire identity of Egyptian civilization, inspiring loyalty, demonstrating power, and connecting an entire nation to something greater than themselves. Now, this is the part you have been waiting for. Because as impressive as the history and the architecture are, it is the mysteries surrounding the pyramids that have truly captured the world's imagination for centuries. Let us start with the most popular theory of all, the idea that the pyramids were built by aliens. This theory has appeared in books, documentaries, and countless internet videos. The argument goes like this: the pyramids are so precise, so massive, and so perfectly built that it is simply impossible for ancient humans to have created them without help from an advanced extraterrestrial civilization. Now, it is an exciting idea, but most Egyptologists and archaeologists strongly disagree. We have found the tools used to build the pyramids. We have found the workers' villages, their medical records, their food supplies, and even their graffiti on the stones. The evidence for a very human construction is overwhelming. To suggest otherwise, many argue, actually takes credit away from one of history's most brilliant civilizations. Then there is the story of Napoleon Bonaparte. In 1798, Napoleon led a military campaign into Egypt and reportedly spent a night alone inside the king's chamber of the Great Pyramid. When he emerged the next morning, witnesses described him as pale, shaken, and deeply unsettled. When asked what had happened, Napoleon reportedly said, "I have nothing to tell you." He never spoke of that night again. Whether the story is true or legend, nobody knows for certain. And then there is the most chilling of all, the curse of the pharaohs. In 1922, the British archaeologist Howard Carter made one of the greatest discoveries in history, the untouched tomb of the young pharaoh Tutankhamun, filled with gold and treasures beyond imagination. But shortly after the tomb was opened, a series of strange deaths began occurring among members of the expedition team. Lord Carnarvon, the man who funded the dig, died within months. Others followed. Newspapers around the world ran headlines about the ancient curse that had been unleashed. Scientists today believe the most likely explanation is toxic mold or bacteria that had been sealed inside the tomb for thousands of years. But even so, the legend of a curse has never quite gone away. And so we arrive at part 5, the final part, and the question that ties everything together. The Pyramids of Giza have survived wars, earthquakes, treasure hunters, sandstorms, and the slow erosion of thousands of years. They have been studied by the greatest minds in archaeology, engineering, and history. We have mapped them, scanned them, measured them down to the millimeter, and sent robots through their tunnels. In recent years, scientists using a technique called muon tomography, a form of scanning that uses cosmic ray particles, discovered what appears to be a large hidden corridor inside the Great Pyramid that had never been seen before. And yet, for all of that, we still do not fully understand them. We do not know exactly how the stones were moved and lifted into place. We do not know what, if anything, is still hidden inside. We do not know with absolute certainty what all of the chambers and shafts were designed for. But perhaps the deepest mystery of all is not a technical one. It is a human one. What drove a civilization of people for 1,500 years ago, with no modern technology, no machinery, no computers, to look up at the sky and decide that they were going to build something so perfect, so permanent, and so impossible that people would still be talking about it thousands of years later? What were they trying to say? What were they trying to leave behind? Maybe the answer is simpler than we think. Maybe they wanted exactly what we all want, to matter, to be remembered, to reach for something eternal, and leave a mark on the world that time cannot erase. And in that, without any question, they succeeded. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe. And let me know in the comments, what do you think is still hidden inside the Pyramids of Giza?